We are here at the Bothell United Methodist Church. My name is Nancy Verheyden, and I have the distinct pleasure of working with many other members on a project to capture the oral histories of our members here at the Bothell UMC. Today is Tuesday, May 23rd, 2017. After hitting an historic record for being the wettest winter through early spring period on record, the weather today is glorious. Sunny, blue skies, and a gentle temperature of about 77 degrees. Sitting next to me is Mrs. Bobby Johnson, longtime member of the Bothell UMC. In an earlier conversation, Bobby shared with me that she was born on January 5th, 1926. From that time forward, Bobby is about to reveal the highlights of her life and her faith story. Hi, Bobby.
Hi.
I know that you have done a lot of preparations on the questions, so let's just dive in. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Could you share with me some outstanding memories of your childhood, family, youth, and young adulthood?
I was born in Manson, Lake Chelan, and my sister, which was a year younger than me, she was born on February 13th, 1927. And our mother died when we were younger, so we don't remember her. And our grandmother took us in her home and took us to her home in Seattle. And our grandmother her husband was a ladies' store called Westberg Childs, and he was doing very well, but he died and left her very well. So it was during the Depression. And she sent us, my sister and myself, to Annie Wright Seminary in Tacoma. We were only young ones there, but my sister was 4 and I was 5. And we learned to be polite.
Bobby, can you tell me a little bit more about your time at Annie Wright?
We learned a lot of things from that school because we had so many places to try, like dancing, tap dancing, and we had also piano and music, and we also had the chapel, that we go to the chapel every morning and every night. And all we remember, both of us, was hymns, and we still know those hymns.
I'm sure you do.
But also we had to wear veils on our heads because it's going in the chapel, because we thought that if we didn't have those veils on, God would kill us. So we wore those veils. And we had learned to eat very, very nicely. I learned French for 5 years. And when we went to Paris, with my husband and I was able to speak French. But the problem was that they answered me, and I couldn't answer them. We had a swimming pool. We learned swimming.
Bobby, at Annie Wright, do you recall the time in history when you went? Wasn't it during the Great Depression?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you feel that experience there?
I didn't know it.
No.
I didn't know it because at Annie Wright, there was the Ringler girls there. There was a Weyerhaeuser.
The Weyerhaeuser girls?
Weyerhaeuser people, yeah. It was all people that are very, very wealthy.
I see.
But we didn't know that. We just thought we were people.
Bobby, you stayed at Annie Wright for about 5 years?
Yes.
Why did you leave at the end of 5 years?
Because my grandmother died, and my dad couldn't pay anymore.
I see.
Besides, we wanted to go to a high school. Mm-hmm. We were ready for that.
And where was that school?
With high school, Highline High School in Burien.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And do you have any particularly fond memories of that?
Yes, I do, very much. Actually, when I was a senior, I was a cheerleader,
Okay.
and there was only 1 and 3, so there's 3 of us. And we did the footballs and the basketballs, sports, and we really enjoyed it. And then also, I was the president of the pep club.
I can believe
Can
that.
you imagine that?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, okay. And then I graduated in 1944. And at that year, the boys were all gone because they were in the war.
Yes.
I went to work for iMagnin.
In an earlier conversation, you told me that you learned to really sew, and you are known as a fine seamstress. You learned that in your high school years? Is that true?
I learned it in high school, yes.
Yeah.
But actually, God gave me that big gift. And so I had it already.
Yes.
That was my gift. And so I used it all the time. I wore all my clothes, made all my clothes in high school and ever since. I've always wore my own clothes.
Are you wearing them now?
Yes.
Bobby, when you were working at iMagnins, you mentioned to me that you met somebody special during that period. Can you talk to me about that?
Yes, I went to
Redondo?
Redondo rolling skating rink, and it was ladies' choice, and I saw him leaving. It looked like he was leaving, but he was actually putting on his shoes on, but I didn't know that. I thought he was leaving, so I went up to him and said, "Would you please be my partner for the ladies' chase?" And he said, "I just got here." So we skated, and we skated, and we skated for a long time.
You must have skated for a long time.
We really liked each other. And so in 1 month, we were engaged.
And this was your husband, soon-to-be husband?
Yeah. But when I told my father, he said, "I want you to wait 1 year before you go, before you are married." And we said, yes, we would do that.
Yes.
So we did.
And so when did you get married?
We got married on September 10th, 1946, at a church in the university. And I made all the maids, or the honors. I made 5 gowns and my own gown.
Bobby, after you were married and came back from your honeymoon, where did you first live with your husband?
We lived in Fairfield, California, and he was in the Travis Air Force base.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did he do in the military?
He was work with airplanes.
He was a sergeant?
Sergeant.
Okay. All right. And then shortly after that, it sounds like you came back to the Seattle area because something happened that was wonderful for you and your husband. You had a son in 1947.
Oh, yes, that's right. At Sandpoint.
Yeah.
Sandpoint, yes.
Sandpoint Naval Station?
Uh-huh. He was at the naval station, but actually across the street was a restaurant, and the people were over there with Air Force people. And they were trying to get the naval people to change to Air Force. And my husband said that he knew that he would maybe not have to go, would never be able to retire. So he changed over to Air Force. And then that's when we went to Travis.
Okay. And your son was born at the Sandpoint Naval Station?
Yeah, Navy.
Okay. And what was your son's name?
Terry
Terry.
Dean Johnson.
And he was born on?
August 13th, 1947.
Okay, all right.
Then the next one was my daughter, and that was when we moved, well, we were at Travis, and we had to go to, the only hospital was in Presidio,
Yes?
and that was in San Francisco, and that's where she was born at 9/49 and February 20th,
Of which year?
1949.
And her name was?
Kathy Lee Johnson.
Okay. You have an interesting fact about the cost of hospitalization when you gave birth to your children. Can you tell us that?
It was $18.
For
That's all, the whole thing.
For the
Yeah.
labor, delivery, and hospital?
Everything.
Wow.
And Army and Navy was the same price.
Bobby, as a military family, I would expect that you would be traveling a lot. Did you travel a lot from the Travis Naval or Air Force Base? Did you travel any more than that?
Yes, we traveled to different countries.
Where did you go next?
From Travis, we went to Hawaii.
And how long were you there?
We were 3 years there. That was 1949 to 1951, and they were not a state at that time. But our families came over, and they loved to come over and see us because they loved to see Hawaii. And also, we went to the beach a lot of times. So
Do you remember the island that you were on?
we were on Oahu.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
When you say Hawaii, then you don't know about which island you're on, but it was Oahu.
Oahu.
Yeah. In fact, that time we couldn't get on any other islands. They weren't going at that time. So
Was
we
it-
were just right on that island. That's all.
And you had a wonderful time there.
Yes, we did. It was
Wonderful.
great for the kids, for our children.
Wonderful. And from Hawaii, where did you go next?
We went to Hawaii. No, I mean, we went to Philippines.
Huh?
That was very different.
Yes. And how is it different?
Well, it was different because, for one thing, is that the human was, we had to have lights in our closets, so that would keep it dry.
Lights?
Lights in the closets.
Okay. In the Philippines, you had a family. You were taking care of your husband and children. Did you do anything else?
I worked as a secretary to a lieutenant.
Lieutenant.
Oh, my God,
Okay.
right.
And he was on base?
Yes, on the base, yes.
Okay.
In fact, because of that, I got us to go to Hong Kong. We went to Hong Kong and bought a lot of things there from there. And then also we went to Singapore
Oh, my goodness.
because I was able to do that with that being a secretary. And so we got a lot of furniture
Yes.
from that. And we sent it back to the Air Force, brought it back to, sent it back to us, to Philippines. Yeah, that's right, because we were, yeah. Okay.
And then from the Philippines, did you send it on to the States?
When we're ready to move.
Yes.
Yeah, we did.
Okay. So then after the Philippines, did you come back to the States or did you go on yet somewhere else?
We went to Texas,
Okay, well, that's the States.
and that was 4 years. Yes. I was trying to think of something else about Philadelphia, but I can't think of it.
Okay, maybe
Okay.
we can come back. Tell us about Texas. Was it hot?
Texas is
Where
pretty
were you?
big.
Yeah. Where were you in Texas?
We were in Del Rio, which is on the border of Mexico.
Okay.
And my husband was in Laughlin
Laughlin? Yeah.
Air Force.
Bobby, in the Philippines, you traveled from the Philippines over to the Orient, and then you came back to the Philippines. Did you have any outside of the home activity? Could you tell me about any of those activities?
Well, I learned how to play golf.
Okay.
And somebody told me that don't go on the golf course unless you have learned some lessons.
Yes.
So I learned 10 lessons. And then I went out on the golf course and tried it. and it was wonderful.
Wonderful.
Okay.
And then from there, you went on to Texas, and I would assume
And we also had a maid there, so I didn't have to cook.
Tell me a little bit more about this golfing
Okay.
expertise that you have.
Well, I met Carol, which was a very good friend, and we went golfing every day for 4 years. And we took some, oh gosh.
You
We-
went into some tournaments?
Yes, we took tournaments, and we also got trophies. And she had an 8 handicap, and I had a 12. So we did very well.
All right. Now, from Texas, did your husband retire out of the military while he was in Texas?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, we did.
And from there, did you come back to the
And
Northwest?
that was the 19, was it 19?
1961?
Yeah, 1961 is when he retired. And so we went back to Seattle. My dad, who is a builder, had building, while I was in the Philippines as a secretary, my money went into Seattle. All my money went to Seattle, and we bought the land that we were going to build our house on. And then when we came back to home, my dad had started building our house for us.
Was that in Seattle or in Kenmore?
That was in Kenmore,
Okay.
over the Lake Washington. Yeah.
You found this beautiful home that your father had built. You had invested in the property while you were in the Philippines. You came back and you gave your home a name. What was it?
The name was Tours End. And I want to tell too, is that my dad gave us $10,000 to work on our house.
Bobby, your children went to high school in Kenmore. You were building this life here. It was during the 60s. 1962 was what? What happened in 62 in Seattle?
Oh, that was the Seattle
World's Fair?
Fairs, yeah, fair.
The World Fair, yeah. Tell us a little bit about your children. Let's start with your daughter.
She was went to Alaska Airlines, and she was a stewardess.
Well, Kathy and her husband were flying Alaskan Airlines in 1971. Can you pick up from there and tell us a little bit more about what was going on then?
Well, they went on to Juneau, and Juneau, they hit the mountain. And it was 111 people in the plane. And it hit the mountain, and all were killed. And what probably this church don't know, that Judy Raymond, her first husband was on that plane.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
But also, it was really, everybody was killed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was on September 4, 1971.
Yes.
And
Yes.
to me, God, oh dear, God got my attention.
Yeah.
He got my attention.
Yeah.
And I told her, but I wasn't crying.
It's all right. I'm crying too.
But what else to say?
Tell us
Oh,
a
dear.
little bit about your experience with God at the time of that accident. Did you hear a voice? Did you?
Yes, I did. Okay, it took me a while. In fact, it took me 2 years. Always, I couldn't tell anybody what happened. I could tell people that knew about it, but if somebody didn't know about it, I couldn't tell them for 2 years. But
What changed when you were able to start talking about your?
I'm trying to think.
Did your faith?
I wondered where she was. Oh, here, this is a good one. This is a good one. I wondered where she was. And God dreamed me. I had a dream. And she was at a big mountain, and it was a very, very narrow path going down, and she was at the top, holding her hand out to help me up. And I knew that that's why I was going to heaven, because of her being there. And then I met her mother-in-law for lunch, and her mother said, I told her, I said, I became a Christian. And I didn't tell her my dream, because I didn't want her to, she would not understand that. And I said that, she told me, she said, you know that Kathy was a Christian. I said, no. Well, I did, but I didn't know. I didn't want to tell her the dream. She said, I asked her if she had ever asked Jesus into her heart as her Savior. She said, yes, she did. So I thought, there's my confirmation.
You did not know that your daughter had embraced Christianity.
She what?
You did not know until then that your daughter was Christian.
No, I didn't know. I was worried about it, because I was wondering. I just didn't want her to be in hell. But I thought, what else is there else?
Yes, yes.
So, yeah, that made me feel very good about that.
Bobby, can you tell us a little bit about your affiliation and relationship to church? Let's start off with, were you baptized? Can you tell us where?
I was baptized in a church of my aunt and uncle, and I was just baptized from the church. But then when I started reading the Bible, and I saw where Jesus was baptized, and I thought, uh-oh, I've got to baptize like Jesus did. So I went. So a friend of mine was over in Bellevue, and she had a pastor over there, and she had a swimming pool. So he baptized me there in that pool. So I felt like, okay, I'm okay now.
Do you remember how old you were?
Oh dear, I was probably 49.
Okay. Your daughter, Kathy, died in 1971. You grieved deeply, of course. Mm-hmm. You had a dream. God spoke to you. Were you at that time going to a church, or were you at that time reading the Bible?
No, I was not.
What happened? Did your cousin help you find a store?
My cousin said that there was a Christian store right down at Lake Forest Park. And so I thought, I've got to go down. I've got to have a Bible. So I went down there to see it. And I got a New Testament, was called Good News, and I paid 45 cents for it. And I took it home, and I started reading it in the kitchen that night, that evening. And those words just jumped at me. And I thought, whew.
Which words?
They were saying, oh gosh, it was talking about the soils, the four soils, and it got to the first ones that were bad, the second was not good, third one was not good, but fourth was a good one. And I said, oh God, I want to be the good soil. But then I started reading books. I started reading Christian books that pastors had written, and I was so busy with those Christian books that I actually Christian book store, I was their best customer because I was reading all their books. And finally, at 4 o'clock in the morning, I heard 3 words And it was so strong and so immediately very, very bad. Not very bad, very good. But it was God. And I heard his words. I heard absolutely his words. 3, read your Bible. And I said, yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I started reading my Bible. I read my Bible, the Living Bible, all the way through. And I've been doing that ever since.
Bobby, during this period where you were discovering with great thirst, reading the Bible, did you do anything besides go to the Bible bookstore and buy books?
My cousin called me and said, Bobby, you really like the Bible. She said, I've got something that you would really like. I said, it's a Bible study. It said it's called Bible Study Fellowship, BSF. And she said, it's going to start in September. And so I thought to myself, if she called me, the least I could do is go check on it. So I did. I went check on it. And I saw all those ladies, and they're so wonderful. They were so joyful. And I thought, oh, this is really great. And then, what did I do?
How long have you been associated with it? Are you still a member?
Oh, I know what I was going to say. There was Genesis. They were starting Genesis, and I thought, oh,
That's a good place.
Genesis, that's the beginning. That's a great start. So I started in Genesis, and I just loved it. So I kept going on. But first of all, I was there, and then I wasn't there very long, and my leader said, Bobby, would you be a leader for me? And I said, well, I guess so. I don't know. I'll try. I wasn't sure. She said, well, ask your husband. So I asked my husband, and he said, oh, you could do that. You can do that. So I told her, I can do that. So I started, and I've been there for 43 years. But what it tells about was that this BSF study is only a study, but they tell us we have to have a church. We have to have a church. So I thought, okay, where am I going to find a church? And I was working in Lamont in the sports department with Jerry Anderson.
Our Jerry Anderson?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And she told me, she says, I've got the best pastor. And I thought, oh, that sounds good. And I told my husband, and my husband knew Jerry, and he said, yeah, let's go see it. So we went to see it, and we looked at it, and with Dr. Bill, and we thought Dr. Bill was good. And I said, okay, let's take this church.
Is that Dr. Bill Ellington?
Yes,
pastor?
that was it.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know his last name. Yeah.
Okay.
And so we went to this church.
Bobby, you found your church at Bothell United Methodist Church. Can you tell us a few things about what you actually did? Some of the projects and the missions that you participated in.
We found the mission program, and so we heard that the church was going to have to take a Korean family.
A Korean family?
And they had to leave that place because they were in trouble. I don't know exactly what it was, but it was in trouble. And their son was a captain of a big boat. And so they got their family, a large family, and they got the boat secretly out, and their daughter brought her fiance on her boat too. Mm-hmm. And so they came to San Francisco. And then, I think, no, I'm not sure. It went to California anyway. And then they came up to our church. And so they found a house for them. But then we got to where we used to have all kind of things that they need. And there was a lot of things that they needed for their furniture, a lot of furniture. So we brought a lot of furniture to them, and other things. And then she was going to get her wedding. She planned her wedding in our church. So I made her outfits, her wedding gown. And it was a lovely church, a lovely wedding for her.
Besides the program ministry associated with the Korean family, did you participate in any fellowship with any of the other members of the church?
Yes, we did. Dr. Bill told us about Horace Pearson, that he had a group of Bible study people, and we had 5 couples, and he had it every week at his house. And so we went there, and we went there for many times, and we just loved it. And it was a wonderful way to find people from our church to get to know them, because you don't get to know them when you just go to church and go back and go home, and that's it.
That's right.
You have to get to with something else, with somebody in the church, and that's when studying the Bible is the best thing.
And this now was your church home. During that period, can you tell me more about your husband and what happened during that period?
Well, he had cancer of his lungs, and so only 3 months he was gone. So I was glad for that, because other people have lasted a long time and really have suffered.
Yes.
But he went very quickly.
And this has been your church home during that period as well?
They were so good to me. That people there took food at the church, at the service, yeah. And they were just wonderful, yeah.
Yes.
They were very good.
Your closest family?
Yes,
Yes.
yes. We had the food in the fellowship.
Bobby, you found a wonderful church family, a church home at Bothell. You and your husband enjoyed many years together. He unfortunately passed on in 1977. You remained a very strong church member after his passing. Sometime towards the year 2000, you faced yet another deep tragedy. Can you tell us about that?
It's my son, Terry.
Okay.
And he was driving a brand new Cadillac to Denver, and somehow or other at 10 o'clock in the morning, I don't know what happened to the car, but it went out crashed. He went out through the windshield. The windshield, yes. And he was killed right away. So actually, I'm kind of glad that my daughter went quick, and my son went quick.
Oh.
So that was good.
Yes. Recently, you told me that you likened your life a little bit to the life of Moses. Do you reflect on that? Can you reflect on that and what you meant by that?
Yes, I do, because we were studying Moses, and it was all those 4 last. Not Genesis, but the other 4. And it ended up with Deuteronomy. And Moses said to his people, I have 120 and I can't lead anymore. And so when we had our leaders, which were 50 of them, and I said to them, I said, I am 89 and I can't lead anymore either. So I left that part, but I stayed with Revelation because I wanted that so badly, and I stayed and learned that.
So when you say you left leadership of
Later, as a leader, yes.
Of the BSF?
Yes.
Okay.
But I was still with BSF. I was learning Revelation because they had never done that, and I wanted to hear it.
Yes.
I wanted to learn it.
And how much after that did you move then on to?
That's when I found out that I was 91 and I cannot keep my house anymore. I had a townhouse that I'd been there for 26 years, and I loved it, but I could not stay it. I knew I couldn't do anything that I wanted to do. I couldn't even hardly carry my groceries in. So my grandson, who came over from Denver just to be over by me, and he said, and I told him, I said, I can't come. I can't keep my house. He said, come on over here. Come over here. So I did. I went over there.
To Port Orchard?
Port Orchard. And he has a lovely home. And he had an upper room stair, upper room of this nice big bedroom up there. And so I moved my furniture, not very many furniture, mostly wicker. And I really changed for my colors because my bedroom was all in pink for 36 years. And so I took the pink out, and I got pale green and pale blue with ivory, and I love it. And God help me.
You call this place where you live now your upper room?
Yes.
That's very interesting.
I tell everybody, because it's easy to tell people because I'm living with my grandson, that I live the upper room with Jesus.
There was something that your son gave you, and I'd like to hear about that. I think it's special.
He brought over from Denver a brand new Chrysler 9091 of New York, 5th Avenue, and he gave it to me. And I didn't know it because the door the bell was ringing, and I was upstairs and I went down to see it, and there's my son was there standing there. He said, Mom, come see your new car. So I look at it and I thought, oh no. But anyhow.
How long did you drive that car?
I drove it for 25 years. And I took very good care of it. I took service of it all the time. And I always washed it myself. And it's always in my garage. It was never outside. And it had 6,500,000 miles on it.
65,000 miles?
Yeah, 65,000 miles on it. My daughter's best friend in Alaska wanted to buy it from me. And I wanted her to have it because I knew she would take good care of it. In fact, she did. She bought it. And she took it down to Chrysler and she says, oh, she said, they sure know you down there. But she was pleased to get it. She has it now.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Bobby, going forward, I'm wondering if you could leave us any words of wisdom for the direction of the church and those that you feel most important in your life.
The first one was when my daughter was killed, and he said to me, verses 8:28, God works all things for good. And I thought, ooh, that's good. That's a good one. So, but I used it all the time.
Yes.
Yeah. There's more, but that's the main part of it, is that.
Is there another one that you wanted to share?
Yes, there is. That's John 14:6, and I can know that one. I am the way, the truth, and the life. Nobody from the Father comes to the Father but through me, through Jesus. And I have told that to so many people in Bible studies, and even right here in this room. I've told people about Jesus. When if you get the Father, you have to go through Jesus. You can't talk to him, call him a father unless you got through Jesus. Only Jesus. That's a very promise on that.
Bobby, is there a third verse that you'd like to share with us?
Yes, there is. It's 2 Timothy 3:16. All Scripture is God-breathed and useful for teaching, rebuking, correcting, and training in righteousness. And I just feel like that when God told me to read your Bible, this is what he's talking about. His scriptures is God has breathed that and teaches and rebukes and correcting us and training us
Yes.
in righteousness.
Yes. Thank you. Bobby, I know how incredibly important the Bible is in your life. You've had many Bibles, you've given many away. We have one here today that we're filming, but you've offered up one of your favorite messages or sayings as part of your study of the Bible. Could you share that message with us?
Yes, I would love to say it. It is humility is when you're not aware of it.
Good, thank you
Just
very
think
much.
about that.
Yes, yes. And the Bible that we are looking at right now, you gave to one of our church members, Judy Thayer.
Yes.
Yes. And she carries it with her every Wednesday when she comes to Bible study. And can you tell us a little bit about what you write in there?
Well, I've had it a long time, so I don't know. She asked me for it, but I didn't know she was going to do that. So I just gave it to her.
Yes.
But I've got a lot of Bibles that have written on them. So now what I do, I have to buy big Bibles, large, and so I'm not writing on them anymore because I've got too many writing on other Bibles.
All right. Bobby, in reflecting on all you've shared here today, you've taken quite a trip to come here today. Is there anything else that you'd like to say in how you would like to be remembered?
That I was with Jesus, and I would like everybody to know Jesus too.
Bobby, what is this picture of?
There's a picture of me in the directory, and that was probably about the fifth directory that came back, the faith back.
What is this picture showing?
This is the Philippines, the family. Okay, that's my Chrysler 1971, and I drove it for 25 years. My great children and my great children,
Your
grandchildren,
and your great-grandchildren.
and my great grandchildren. These are the dads, my dad, my son, and his son, my grandson, and my son, and myself. This is in 1950 at Easter on Hawaii, and my family. This is Kathy's graduation. This is a Kathy reunion, class reunion with my sister and myself. This is the calling girls that the church used as the core, and we had a wonderful time together, and we laughed and we helped each other